You are about to hear about the horrific shark attack that occurred in 2003 off the coast of Florida, which claimed the lives of 2 friends while leaving a third unharmed. To recount the terrible story of their death, this one is one of the worst shark attacks to ever occur off the Florida coast. Liam Harris and Samantha traveled to the brand new Smyrna Beach in Florida to maximize their holiday. The 3 buddies had become friends in college and clicked because they all had a similar sense of adventure and a desire to see new places. Surfers, tanners, and volleyball players crowded the beach, yet none of this gave them the adrenaline they were looking for. Liam had pushed the group to spend 2 nights aboard a small yacht off the area's coast because it was known as a global hotspot for shark attacks. Samantha was initially reluctant, but the group eventually boarded a ship and sailed away from the coast a few kilometers. The first night on the yacht was peaceful and tranquil. The water was lovely. The moonlight made their night more pleasant, and there was severe conversation. The 3 friends enjoyed the food and drinks on the yacht throughout the entire evening because Samantha had packed steak and beef ribs for their time at sea. But they were unaware that a lurking underwater creature was attracted to the fragrance of the flesh from miles away. A shark's preferred hunting location is New Smyrna Beach. The great whites in the vicinity had grown accustomed to seeing people as potential prey and were aware of human activities. They are regarded as the most robust and most despised species of shark in the entire globe. Males have many rows of serrated teeth that can lengthen to 6 inches, as proven by the thousands of reported instances and fatalities. A great white shark can rip its prey in 2 with only 1 bite, tearing through flesh. They are the apex predators of the aquatic environment, firmly perched atop the marine food chain and reaching lengths of up to 14 feet. It was the group's final few hours in the water before returning to the beach as night fell today. The 3 buddies longed for the thrilling adrenaline they had anticipated after an unremarkable morning. Harris inquired if there was any leftover steak from last night because he was hungry. Harris received a plate from Liam when he nodded and did so. Possibly a little bored, Harris was the target of Liam's playful taunt, so he threw him a piece of steak to catch. Are you already immersed in the story? Consider subscribing quickly to help us out. Harris played along and slipped into the water while attempting to catch the piece. He instantly returned to the boat while grinning. The trio appeared to enjoy playing around in the middle of the ocean by tossing bits of meat and occasionally falling into the sea while attempting to catch them. But they were unaware that they were fostering the ideal conditions for a calamity. The disturbance on the water. Great white sharks have the most intense sense of smell of any marine animal, being able to detect 1 part in 10 billion pieces of water even from a mile away, in addition to the aroma of the falling steaks. The predator pursued it until it reached the boat when it began to circle it from underneath. They searched the boat for him and peered underneath, believing he was pulling a practical joke on them. Panic began to set in when they noticed the water a few feet away becoming red. A significant white shark bit Harris' thigh while he was in the water, dragging him under the surface before he could even scream. The ocean drowned out his calls for aid as the shark ripped him to shreds. Both are now aware that a terrible mistake was made. Liam submerged his head to look underneath the surface. He saw a 14-foot shark moving towards him like a long torpedo from beneath the water. They did not have time to consider how serious the situation was. The yacht was hesitant to gain pace as Liam hurriedly stood back up and turned on the motor to bring the boat back towards the coast, and it wasn't long before they heard a crash from it. The yacht shook back and forth in the water due to the shark striking its underside. A big gaping mouth protruded beneath the water's surface as the fin got closer to Liam, sucking in the water and luring him towards the shark. While Liam was only a few inches from the boat at this point, he was out of his mind with fear. At that point, the shark bit him across the torso, slicing deep into his flesh with its razor-sharp teeth. Although he was scared, Liam could not muster much opposition. Samantha begged and shouted. Nevertheless, no one was around to hear her, and they were still a reasonable distance from the coast. Liam squealed a little as the shark ripped Liam's body apart with its furious head movements back and forth above the water. Samantha became numb with fear for most of the scene. Despite not knowing how to pilot, she desperately tried to guide the boat to the shore after realizing she was the only one still alive. She finally reached solid ground and let all her feelings out. She had just lost 2 of her best friends and saw their cruel and terrible deaths at the hands of a marine predator. She was still coming to terms with the tragedy's scope. She felt fortunate to be still alive. Aside from a few pieces of clothing floating in the blood-stained water, little could be saved from the scene to identify her friends' bodies. Liam and Harris were sadly just the latest victims of this fearsome sea monster, and the incident was added to Florida's history of horrifying great white shark attacks. Thanks everyone for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, please let us know by subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. See you in the next story.